Okay, so all right. So once again, good morning, everyone. Okay, so our new topic has something to do with the survey questionnaire. Okay, so it's you are a bit familiar with this. I know that you have encountered no such survey questionnaires, especially if there are classmates of yours who was having a thesis or research, and then tawag ito, they are tasked to conduct, of course, a survey, and then you are one of the respondents. Then, okay, so you become a part of the survey, uh, of the survey itself, rather. Okay, so now we are going to talk after the reports that we have tackled last meeting. Okay, is how to design a survey questionnaire. Okay, so paano nga ba ginagawa yung mga survey questionnaires? What are the things that we should remember, or what are the things that we should focus on? Okay, so let's start. Syempre, of course, let us define what survey is. So when we say survey, okay, so a survey is a general view, examination, or description of someone or something. Okay, it also refers to looking carefully and thoroughly at someone or something, especially to assess them. Okay, sabi survey daw, it can be an examination or a description of someone, of course, through a written tawag ito, output. Okay, so pag sinabi natin survey, so when you want to do a survey, you need a questionnaire to help get the information that you need. Okay, so a good questionnaire should be valid, reliable, clear, and interesting. Okay, so when we say valid, it asks what it intends to ask. Okay, kasi sabing valid, it asks what it intends to ask. Okay, so kung ano yung itinatanong, yun dapat mismo. Okay, so we should concise, or we should be concise. Okay, and clear when it comes to its questions. Okay, hindi yung may paligoy-ligoy pa. Okay, be direct to the point. So when we say reliable, okay, pag sinabi naman natin reliable, it gets the same answer if the same question is posed repeatedly in a short time. Okay, so pag sinabing reliable, it's a test. Okay, let's say for example, you have repeated the same question twice in the survey, and then you create, and then the respondents have the same answer, then your survey is reliable. Okay, if not, then it's not reliable. Because that's the same question, bakit nag-iba siya ng sagot? Okay, di ba? So, ganoon din sa mga test questionnaires, di ba, pag napapansin natin, when it comes to the examinations, to the quizzes, there are some questions na nauulit. Okay? So, there are some questions na nauulit. But I am not saying that all are doing this to test reliability. Okay? So, minsan, syempre, ubus na siguro yung questions, kaya inuulit na lang. But, okay, more is tawag dito, kadalasan it's to test your reliability. Okay? Tinitignan kung reliable ba or reliable ba yung exam. Okay? Same question, okay, but different item number. Okay, no, so nakikita niyo yun, di ba? Yung mga same questions na yun. Okay, that is to test reliability. Okay, or reliableness. So next is clear. Okay, so survey, it is easily understood. Okay, it must be clear, it must easily understood, no more flowery words, just like what I've said, it must be direct to the point. Next is interesting. Okay, so of course your survey must be interesting. Not in the way the interesting that you should have tawag dito, that you should have designs on your survey questionnaires. No, not that one. Okay, when we say interesting, okay, it is completed by the respondents and gets better response rate. Okay, so syempre once na catchy yung survey mo, let's say for example, yung topic mo or yung topic mo about sa survey na ginagawa mo is very much timely, okay, nowadays, and they can cope up, okay, with that topic of yours, syempre your respondents or you will have a better response rate. Okay, mas marami yung may sasagot. Okay, so it must be interesting. Okay, so again, when you want to do a survey, you need a questionnaire to help get the information that you need, and a good questionnaire should be valid, reliable, clear, and interesting. Okay? Okay. Next, remember this when you create a survey questionnaire. Okay? You should remember the design, test, revise. Okay? So pag sinabing design, nakapaloob dyan, ask the right questions, use appropriate format, arrange the questions logically, make instructions clear. Okay, when we say test, do pilot testing, detect flaws, then revise, make necessary changes, and improve the questionnaires. Okay, so we will go with that one by one. Okay, so the design of the questionnaire should not be taken for granted to be able to get accurate data. Okay, so a bad questionnaire kasi may lead to wrong conclusions since data collected may not be correct. Okay, so it must not be taken for granted. Okay, because a bad questionnaire pwede siyang mag-lead into a wrong conclusions. So let us first discuss design. Okay, so design first ask the right questions. Okay, so what are the right questions to be used? Okay, so questions here may be closed-ended or open-ended. Okay, so you can use either depending on the data that you want to get from your respondents. Okay, so first we have here the closed-ended. Okay, so closed-ended or closed-ended questions provide options to the respondents and require them to choose one or more items from the list. Okay, so pag close-ended, this is used if the range of answers are well known, no, and the options are limited. Okay, so pag closed-ended siya, okay, there are options. Okay, closed-ended lang siya. Okay, they are limited to the certain options that you have, tawag to that you have, tawag to- that you have right, okay, or that you have provided. Okay, so for example nga nakalagay dyan, do you have a computer at home? Yes or no? Okay, so yes or no lang. Do you have a computer at home? Yes or no? Okay, so hindi ka na pwede maglagay ng others. Di ba may others? Now, there are some reasons bakit tayo naglalagay ng others. Di ba? For the reasons lang yon. But the question is, do you have a computer at home? Yes or no lang. Hindi pa pwedeng others. Ano yun, perhaps? Hindi mo alam kung computer ba to? Okay, so hindi ganon. So next is an open-ended question. So an open-ended questions allow the respondents to express their opinions freely and they are not restricted by the options. Okay, kung sinabi naman natin open-ended, this is used if the answer options are multiple and unknown. Okay, so the answers to the open-ended questions require regrouping before analysis. So what does open-ended means? Ito example. What are the reasons why students do not have computer at home? Okay, so here, what are the reasons why students do not have computer at home? So pwede ka pa rin maglagay ng options, but you are not going to limit that options to that certain two options only. Okay? So, pwede ka maglagay ng one example. Okay, one options. Okay, dapat may box yun. Sunod, second options. Then, sa third one, pwede ka na maglagay ng others. Para kung wala doon yung sagot nila sa two options na pinrovide mo or three options na pinrovide mo, pwede nilang ilagay yung others. Okay? Yung totoong reason, no, kung bakit, um, ano yung reason kung bakit wala silang computer at home. Okay, so doon tayo maglalagay ng others. Okay, but not to the specific questions, just like closed-ended questions. Okay? Okay, so checklist. Okay, one example of a survey questionnaire is a checklist. Okay, for example, why do you want to have a computer? So you can choose more than one. Okay, just like what I've said, so pwede ka gumamit ng open-ended questions. Okay? So I need it for my projects in school. I want to play online games. My friends have computers. I want to use it for business. If the reason of yours is not present with these options provided, then you can specify in the others. Check the others, then kindly reason out. No, kung ano yung reason mo. Okay? So the options available should be comprehensive. Okay, so that the respondents can find an option which best suit his or her answer. Okay, so you can include an other, please specify the blank category as one of the options. Okay, you can also let them check, okay, as many items as applicable, but be sure to mention it in your options. Okay, so that is an example of a checklist. Next is a Likert scale. Okay, an example of a Likert scale is this one. No? So you have encountered this. Now I know, nakikita nyo na yan. Ang tawag doon is Likert scale. Okay, we should have a computer at home. Okay, if you strongly agree, check mo doon sa may box ng 5. agree sa 4, neutral sa 3, strongly disagree sa 2, and disagree sa 1. Okay? So, pwede naman, depende sa instructions. If the instructions is kindly put an X mark, so X mark. Okay, kung check mark, or even kahit anong mark. Ano yan. Okay? So, here in questions that involve assessing attitudes or giving opinions, okay, a scale with a range of responses is preferred to a yes or no answer. Okay? So, Likert scale is usually 5 point or 7 points. No, it is a commonly used method. Okay, so sa Likert scale. Okay, so sa mga research, ginagawa to, especially in a quantitative research, because in a quantitative research, no, the result must be measured, not true numbers. Okay, it should be measurable. Okay, kasi pag mga yes or no lang, so that will fall under qualitative research. Next is, do you have a computer at home? So filtering naman ang tawag dito. Okay, in a questionnaire which has many parts, some of which need not be answered by the respondents. Okay, may mga questions na hindi naman dapat sagutin pa nung respondents pero nilalagay natin sa survey questionnaire. No, which is a big no-no. Okay, so that is filtering. So to avoid that filtering. So filtering is used to guide the respondents to answer only the relevant questions. No, however, no, you should avoid using too much filtering as this may confuse the respondents and make the questionnaire complicated. Okay, so for example, do you have a computer at home? Yes or no? Okay, let's say for example you have answered no. If your answer is no, proceed to question number 4. Okay, so that is filtering. Okay, so but too much filtering, okay, so that would not be a good survey. No? Pag napakadami ng filtering na ganyan. Next, avoid double-barreled question. So when we say double-barreled question, you have two options. No, in the one question, it is a common mistake that refers to asking two things in one question. Okay, for example, do you have a computer and laptop at home? Okay, so how are you going to answer that? Diba? Let's say, for example, you only have one laptop. Okay, or you have only computer. Okay, so one thing lang ang itatanong. Do you have a computer at home? Do you have a laptop at home? Okay? Or pwede ka naman gumamit ng checklist, di ba? What are the gadgets no available at home, or what are the gadgets no which is available to your home? Okay? So laptop, computer, cell phones, okay? So parang checklist na lang and others. Okay, so ganun 'yon. Next is avoid ambiguous questions. So avoid ambiguous questions. So be clear and specific in constructing your question. Okay, so avoid ambiguous. So meaning dapat clear and specific yung instruction natin. Okay, kung instruction is to put an X mark, you should put an X mark. Okay, it must be clear and stated on the direction as instructions. No, kung you are going to put a check mark, then kindly put a check mark. Okay, next is to use appropriate format. So shortcut na lang natin. So use the appropriate format. Sabi dito, the title should be highlighted and should reflect the main objective of the research. Okay, so yung title daw dapat naka-highlight for them to know that this is the topic or the title of your research. So if possible, divide the questionnaire into sections according to the content. Okay, boxes with bold headings an example, and it should be flow smoothly from one section to another with appropriate filtering. Okay, so when it comes our survey, dapat hindi sabog ha. Okay, dapat meron pa rin coherent or coherency. Okay, dapat sunod-sunod pa din. Okay, so hindi yung sabog-sabog yung ating questionnaires. So kapag ang respondents daw involves older persons, okay, much better daw to have a bigger font size. Okay, syempre, alam naman natin when we say elderly persons, okay, so medyo malabo na yung mata. So perhaps, no, pwede natin ilagay yung bigger font size. Okay, then finally, include a cover letter stating the objective of your study and your affiliations. Okay, so when having a survey to make it more formal, syempre dapat meron kayong letter doon, cover letter, nakasaad ano yung objective para malalaman nung respondents kung para saan ba itong study na to. Okay, so pwede nyo rin ilagay affiliations nyo. Okay, if student ka ba, teacher ka ba, or anything. Okay, for you to make it formal at syempre para pagkatiwalaan ka rin ng respondents niyo. Okay, baka mamaya tawag dito, you have conducted a survey, no, you get information from him or her, okay, and then para sa masamang bagay naman pala. Okay, so objectives must be stated. Okay, so most importantly, it should include a confidentiality clause. So this is to inform your respondents on how you are going to use the collected information. Okay, of course, the respondent of yours na pinasagutan mo ng survey, dapat alam nila, okay, kung saan gagamitin ito. Okay, o paano gagamitin yung inyong kanilang mga sagot. Okay, for them to have for them to feel relief. Okay? So para hindi sila nangangamba na, "Hala, bakit kaya ako nagsagot sa questionnaire eh, hindi ko naman alam yung ano, blah blah blah." Okay? So you must use appropriate format. Next, arrange the questions logically. Okay, you must arrange the questions logically. Sabi, the order of the questions should flow in a logical sequence. Start with simple questions and move to more complex questions. You can start with the demographic profile like age, address, and others. Okay, so with this one, your questions, just like what I've said, must be in sequence, must be coherent. Okay, not just be incoherent, but it must be logically no in sequence. Okay, so simple questions to more complex one. No, sa madali munang tanong, papahirap. So sabi dito, you can start with a demographic profile muna, like age, address, and others. Okay, yung name naman doon is optional, di ba? So kalimitan natin yung nakikita. Next, instructions should be very clear and introductory comments should be appropriate. Okay? So short instructions help the respondents understand easily and help them set their mind on answering the questions. Okay, so sa instruction na ilalagay sa survey, it must be clear and concise. Hindi pagkahaba-haba. Hindi yung instruction mo is parang paragraph or essay na sa haba. Okay? So no flowery words, no walang pasikot-sikot, it must be straightforward, it must be clear and concise. Okay? Shorten lang natin descriptions para mas maintindihan ng magsasagot. Okay? So the respondent should be told exactly what is wanted. For example, place a check mark in the box if you experience pain on the particular back or X if doesn't. So ganun lang siya. Ang madali lang, maiksi lang para mas madali maintindihan ng respondents. So respondents ang tawag doon sa magsasagot ha. Next is to have a pilot test. Before conducting the survey itself, you must have a pilot test. But tinetest muna natin how it will be tawag dito, work or how it will work. Diba? How it will be functional when it comes to the field. So nagkakaroon tayo ng pilot test. So pilot test is a crucial step in the design of questionnaire before data collection begins. So it will help detect flaws in the questionnaire in terms of content, grammar, and format. So you can ask your colleagues, whether in family members or friends of yours, to comment on the questionnaire. Okay, so once na nagawa mo na yung questionnaire mo and you want to pilot test it, okay, so pwede mo ipasagot sa mga kaibigan mo, sa mga pamilya mo, for you to know no, kung ano yung magiging comment nila at the end, no, ano yung magiging feedback nila. And with that feedback of yours, syempre malalaman mo, okay, ano yung mga bagay na dapat mo i-revise. Okay, because you have now the feedback and the comment of no, other people. Okay, so this is now the time for you to revise your questionnaire. Okay? So perhaps no in tawag dito, in creating or in writing our first checklist, no, minsan hindi talaga perfect agad, may pagkakamali. Okay, there will be a comments, there will be a feedback that will be available no to your family members or friends which will be helpful in revising your survey. Okay? Next, lastly is to revise. Okay, so revising part na tayo. So sa revising part, we will evaluate for general content, organization, and tone by adding, deleting, and organizing information if necessary. So when revising it, it can be helpful to answer these following questions. Okay? So these following questions, sabi nga daw sa pagre-revise, pwede ka mag-add, pwede ka magbawas, pwede mong i-organize ulit. Okay? So these are the questions that will be helpful in revising your survey questionnaire. Who is your audience? That's first. Are your objectives enough? Okay. Have you included enough information? Okay, so you are not going to include these questions on the survey questionnaire. Huh? This is the answers that you should. Okay, question yourself and you must have answer to it for you to know that your survey, okay, will be completely functional. Okay, so again, who is your audience? Are your objectives enough? Have you included enough information? Do you have more information than you need? Have you chosen the proper words to express your ideas? Are you worthy? Are you repetitive? Are you inconsistent? Okay, so those are the questions that might be helpful in writing your survey questionnaire. Okay, so do not be wordy. Okay, hindi to essay. Okay, be direct to the point, be straightforward, no more flowery words when it comes to writing your survey questionnaire. Don't be also repetitive. Okay, so too much repetitive is becomes your survey ambiguous. Okay, so it's okay for you to test the reliability of your survey questionnaire. Okay, but the too much repetitive, no, will not be a good one. Okay, so inconsistent. So pangit din when it comes to inconsistency. Okay, so we must be consistent with the topic of ours. So if the topic of ours is the available technology at home, questions must be related. All the questions must be related to those technologies available at home. Okay, for you to become consistent. Okay, so sabi din, you must choose proper words to express your ideas. Okay, so proper words, so no flowery words, be direct to the point. Okay, be straightforward when it comes to using a words. Okay, so that is tawag dito, that is revise, test, okay, as well as what is the design. Okay, so first is the design, test, and then revise. Okay, so once you have revised your test questionnaires, then pwede na siya ipasagot sa mga respondents. So when you have done all of this, you have crafted a good survey questionnaire. Okay, so it does not seem easy at first, but when you start doing it, you will find it very helpful. Okay, so once na-design mo na-test mo na-pilot test mo na-revise mo na, then ready na yan para ibigay sa mga respondents at sagutan nila. Okay? So this is an example of a survey questionnaires on technology available at home. Okay, but this is not yet revised, ha? Okay, this is not yet revised. Okay, so survey questionnaire on technology available at home. Okay, look at the questions. Do you have a computer at home? Yes or no? Okay, so if you're going to revise it, you are going to delete others. The question is, do you have a computer at home? It must be answerable by yes or no only. No need for you to include others. Okay? Kasi yes or no yung question. Wala nang others doon. Okay? Next, do you have an internet connection at home? Yes or no? Okay, meron na namang others. You must omit others. Again, the question is only answerable by yes or no, so others must be omitted. Next, if your answer number one is no, what is the reason? Okay, so here, what is the reason? So it is a plain blank. Again, when it comes to open-ended questions, pwede ka pa rin maglagay ng options. Maglagay ka ng one or two or three options, then maglagay ka ng others, please specify, then blank. Okay? So, ganun tayo mag-revise sa. Then, fourth one, if your answer in number two is yes, what kind of internet connection do you have? Okay? So, do you think it is relevant or it is tawag dito, relevant to the topic? Kasi ang questionin mo, technology available at home. Okay, hindi na kailangan, okay, what internet connection do you have? Okay, so you should omit that question, delete that question. Next, do you have an Android phone? Okay? So do you have an Android phone? Meron na naman tayong others. Okay? So tatanggalin natin yung others kahit yes or no lang naman. Okay? So and then do you have an Android phone? Hindi na kailangan. Okay? Na ilagay pa yung tanong ngayon, it must be deleted. Why? Okay, because sabi technology available at home lang. Pwede kang gumawa ng checklist mo. So look at this example. Number 7, what kind of gadgets do you have? Okay? So what kind of gadgets do you have? Cellphone, tablet, desktop, laptop, others. So doon na natin yun makikita. Ano ba yung mga gadgets na meron sila sa bahay? No need for iPhone ba yan? Anong klase mong cellphone yan? Okay? So hindi naman kailangan pa yun. Okay, sabi lang, what are the gadgets available at home? Hindi naman kailangan yung branded. Okay? So yun lang yung topic mo, you must focus that. Okay? So how many gadgets do you have at home? One, two, or three, or more. Okay, so it will be retained. Maganda yung tanong. One, check. Two, check. Three or more, check. Okay? So should students have computers or any gadgets at home? Okay? So this is a question para sa iyo, no? Depende sa ito kung yes or no. Okay, kung yes, answer mo yung 9. Okay, which of the following are your reasons? Okay, may others, so that will be a good question. 10, kung ang answer mo ay no, which of the following are your reasons? Okay, meron kang choices na tatlo and then others kung wala dun sa tatlo. Okay, so those last two questions, 9 and 10 as well as 8 are good questions. Retain na yon, hindi mo na i-revise. Okay, yung sinabi ko lang na i-revise kanina, those are the questions that you are going to revise. Okay, okay, so that is all about the survey questionnaire or designing the survey questionnaire. Okay, so that is a very much it will be very much helpful when it comes to having a report. Siyempre, when it comes also to a research to have a survey questionnaire. Okay, so for your project, okay, so I will elaborate your project. Okay, but today that is only for survey questionnaires.